All right, welcome back to Penny Hatch Productions.
I might leave that in there. Welcome back to Penny Hatchy.
It's been so long since I've said it. So, well, my grammar, language on it's a little off. Take a little while to get back to it.
That Will's been MIA.
Man, life.
Yeah, for sure.
Pennohatchee Productions. Glad to welcome you back. Long time no see. Been a while. Been a good minute. Thrilled to be talking to you guys again. This is another episode of the Feathers in Fall Series 1, where we kind of enlighten, educate, and share experiences of deer season and duck season around our area, mainly because the two kind of fluctuate together, and one kind of transfers into the other. And unfortunately for myself, I haven't been able to do really either one very much this year. So been real busy with life in general. And yeah, like I said, it's been kind of tough. But the date is, what are we at now? January
15th.
15th. So
deer season's over.
January 1st.
Duck season's on its way out too.
2 more weeks left of duck season here in South Carolina. So it's been a little hectic getting into the new year.
Well, why is that exactly? It's got a little hectic for you.
Well, so I don't like a lot of spotlight on me, nothing like that. But New Year's Eve, this past New Year's Eve, I officially got engaged, and we'll be getting married in July 2025. So this summer coming up. So real excited about that. But it's a very big planning process and a lot that goes into it. So the fiance and myself are going through that whole process. And the process of trying to plan a proposal was leading up to New Year's Eve, so it took away a good bit of the end of my deer season and all that. So I was just really, that's the number one focus. That's obviously the most important thing in my life right now, and will be for a long time. So that's a very big deal for me. Very blessed and thankful to the Lord above for allowing me to, not trying to get too soapy here on you or too Hallmark Channel, but
We've had enough Hallmark Channel the past month.
yeah,
It's been on TV,
but
non-stop.
I'm very thankful to the Lord above for putting me in this position to get a chance to marry the obviously love of my life. It's such a big deal. It's been talked about in the Bible multiple times about joining with the person meant for you, and I get to do that. So I'm extremely thrilled and excited about that. It's a new chapter in my life, and hopefully, obviously, down the road after that's accomplished, kids will be on the way, and life will certainly change at that point. But already some changes starting to happen for the good in my life, and I'm extremely, extremely proud, blessed, and ready to take it all on. So that's why I've been a little MIA. I've been a prisoner of war.
Well, and then I know we filmed a couple of videos leading up to deer season, and then throughout deer season we didn't post any. And well, a lot of that's because we both started a new temporary job, and by the way, we both hated tremendously. Oh my God, it was a miserable experience. But we started that pretty much right around the start of deer season, and that job took us until about the end of deer season. So we were pretty much busy the entire deer season with work, and we were working pretty much Monday through Saturday, so we really didn't have much time to hunt. I hunted pretty hard the first about 2.5 months of deer season.
Which reminds me, so that it doesn't seem like all I've done is plan a proposal. I forgot to completely add in the fact that I'm a high school football coach, obviously, and that and job, it just completely took me. And I'm not complaining because, my God, I hope I can coach till I take my last breath. It's one of the greatest blessings I have in my life is to get to coach young men and be around great people where I'm at, with a pretty good feeling that role's about to increase a lot. We have a coaching change at the local high school I coach at, and great guy, great deserving guy, I think a lot of, is up in my role. So it's definitely going to take me probably away even more. But that also was a big factor this fall. This past fall was just being so involved with coaching and it taking my time up and everything. So it kind of kept me away from it.
And then on the weekends that we were available, we had a lot of optimism and a lot of good feeling about the direction of Clemson football. So if Clemson was at home, we were in Clemson pretty much every weekend. Now, towards the end of the season, that dissolved and eventually came back. But you know, if we were available on the weekends, we were up there, spending time with family and going to the games and that kind of thing. So we just got busy, and you know, we didn't hunt a lot. We're gonna kind of talk about our deer season here in a minute. We got both of us got on locked in on the same deer called Casper, and we'll talk about him later on in this video. That just pure whipped our tails to the point where we both stopped hunting for a while. What little bit of hunt we were doing, we stopped hunting. And like I said, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but he came back and we were nowhere to be found. So pretty heartbreaking way to end deer season, but we just got busy, and you know, doing this is, you know, pretty much a full-time job, trying to edit these things and video, make content. Something you have to stick to and be dedicated to, and we sat down and kind of took the role on as we're going to be dedicated and we're going to make time for it moving forward. And you know, now we're starting to get ready for turkey season, so our minds are definitely in the right place now and ready to get after that. But enough of springtime talking. We're here to talk about deer and duck hunting. So yeah, like I said, started out deer season hunting pretty hard. I bow hunted or rifle hunted pretty much every day that I could. You know, at that time in early August or late August, early September, you know, the sun's going down at about 7:30, 8 o'clock, so I had time to go from work and then go out and hunt. But it was hot as it could be, and you know, deer movement was at a minimum. Obviously, I didn't have any luck early in the year. From that time, I was hunting really hard. Hunted the early part of the rut and kind of quit hunting, but was able to kill a few does, and that was it. But wasn't able to get one with a bow, which is unfortunate. But I learned a lot about bow hunting that I carry in the next season, which is something I'm very glad about.
Yeah, I think anything that I learned from the little bit of hunting I did this deer season, probably the least amount of deer hunting I did probably in years. It was just, you know, like I said, worrying about football, coaching, work, all that kind of stuff. But it taught me that you really got to take the good with the bad. Deer hunt can be frustrating. Obviously, nowhere near as frustrating to me as turkey hunting. But I didn't hunt a ton in the early season. I would say the most hunting I did was really and truly like our peak rut. So our mid-October-ish is where I really truly, I hunted several mornings, several afternoons. That's where I put a lot of my time into it. Obviously, I just shoot my rifle. I don't bow hunt, but I bounced around as much as I could that time of the season, hoping that it would be very active. And it really and truly, for the most part, on our properties was honestly kind of a letdown. You think peak rut, you know, you start seeing a lot of bucks move. Obviously, one piece of property, I mean, it's absolutely covered in does. It really needed to be thinned out this year, but we had a lot of nice bucks on camera, and there was a couple of bucks that I hunted very hard and just never had the opportunity like I wanted. But I'll say this, I hunted hard that peak rut phase, into the rut, and towards the end of the rut is when I really backed off and just had to, you know, we were getting into the playoffs, our football team was, and you got to put your eggs on that. You can't, you know, if you're a coach, you can't worry too much about hunting that time of year. So I had a chance to, I mean, I could have tagged out with my doe tags, but just chose to wait. Probably sound like a trophy hunter. I'm not trying to, but there was a couple of unique bucks that I really wanted to take for myself. And for instance, Charlie knows. I mean, I would say 80% of the time that I went and sat a particular stand this year, great stand that we have, there's a massive 4-point that we have on one of the properties we hunt, and we call him Quattro. Well, he was there all summer, velvet pictures, and throughout the whole season, he is literally eating up all of our SD card space.
Well, he's one of the only deer that didn't leave from transitioning from summer to fall. Most of the bucks that Quattro was with left. We never saw it again. But Quattro hung around. He was the only deer out of that group that hung around.
And he was a dominant buck. I mean, a lot of scraping, all that stuff. He is a gnarly deer. I mean, he's your typical cold buck. He's not going to do much more than be a big old 4-point, which is crazy. And he technically could be a little 5-point. There's a little tiny broke off town or whatever. But I saw that deer 80% of the time I went. And I'm talking sometimes inside of 50 yards. I mean, right up under the stand. I mean, I saw that deer so much. And I had a chance to take him probably about 7 or 8 different times in that time frame of the season. And just never pulled the trigger. Saw a lot of young bucks as well, but just not the ones that we had our hopes on seeing, and it kind of discouraged me a little bit. And I backed off and quit focusing on it as much. And as Charlie said, when you back off and you ignore it for a month or two, and you find out what happens, it's extremely disappointing.
We're gonna talk about some deer in our past that got away, that eat us alive. And this deer isn't dead. Let me go into that. He's not dead. We do know that. But our history with this deer we're about to talk about started 3 years ago. This was the 3rd season we hunted this deer. We got pictures of this deer, and I'll pop a picture up of this deer.
But I promise you, he isn't 3 years old.
No, we pop a picture up of him here. When we first seen this deer, we thought it was probably 4.5. So that entire season, we never saw this deer. Not one time. We got pictures of him. I wouldn't say on a consistent basis, but we got pictures of him.
No daylight.
No, never. We just got nighttime pictures, like maybe once, twice a week.
And it was at two different
spots.
Stand locations. I mean, they weren't extremely close, but they weren't technically too far from each other.
So the following season, 2 years ago, we didn't get pictures of this deer for a long time. I think we got our first picture in around October, and I'll pop that picture up here. And this deer daylighted. It was about in the middle of the rut. He popped out one morning on camera. So then, at that point, my focus completely shifted to this deer. I wasn't worried about any other deer. We had other deer to hunt, but I wanted to kill this deer. So I hunted one night, what I consider to be probably the best rutting day of that year, 2 years ago. Because I remember I called and grunted, and within 3 minutes, that deer was standing in the food plot. And for whatever reason, my body froze and locked up. Couldn't shoot him. I was looking at him through my scope at about 150, 170 yards away, and just didn't shoot him. And by that time, he was gone. Still don't understand why my body did that or why my head went there, but he got away. So moving into this past year, I'm pretty sure throughout the entire summer and early fall, nothing. We didn't get any pictures of this deer again. Until about I'd say late September to early October, we got the first picture of this deer. So we knew he was still alive. At this point, like we're saying, we're assuming he's anywhere from 7, at the youngest 6, but pretty sure he's 7 to 8 years old. And the only reason we think that's because we had pictures of him when he was young, and he's still here, and he's still the same, looks the same, he's just gotten older. But we got that one picture of this deer, he was gone. Never saw him again until Will saw him in person.
Yeah, it was like I said, it was about that time I was really gearing up to attack the peak rut stage in our area, thinking it was going to be really, really good. And I'm not going to say that, but several bucks were moving, but it was the younger bucks, the little basket rack deer, that you want to give a few years and all. And this year we really cracked down on all the property we hunt. We really cracked down on making sure we did really, really good food plots to keep the deer fed, to keep them coming, keep them interested. and always needing to come out and eat. And it helped us kind of limit the use of corn and stuff like that. And, so it was about, I think it was last week in September. I had a fellow coach of mine. He was really wanting me to go put him on some deer. And I went one afternoon, and well, it was actually like towards the middle of the day, kind of afternoon. I think it was like 1 o'clock-ish. I'd go one day to corn up the property and put tons of corn out for them, because I knew I'd be hunting good the next week. And I'd go down to a spot where this deer had one picture so far in that deer season, like Charlie was saying. And you don't think at 1 o'clock, you know, you're gonna much less see a doe, really and truly. But I back down into the food plot and I'm putting corn out, and as I'm walking down to put the corn out, there's 5 does that are in the back of the food plot, and they blow and run off into the swamp. And I go to walk back towards the truck to put the bags of corn, you know, in the bed of my truck, and I turn around, and looking dead at me, probably from where I was at, it was probably 80 yards, and it was in the back of the food plot, is Casper, the big buck Charlie's referring. And he stands there for about 5 seconds, he stomps his foot, he spins around, and he hauls butt behind those does. Or not behind them, but where they went in. And I called Charlie Mead, and I was like, you don't believe what I just saw, like, you don't believe this, you don't believe this. He's still alive. Because I mean, you think as a deer hunter, when you stop seeing these deer, you're thinking, okay, either like a disease killed them, a predator killed them, or they had just been flat out gunned down and killed by a neighbor.
Or they left, you know, with the
But
rut coming, he may have left and gone somewhere else.
It shocked me to see that deer, and so it kind of came like for Charlie and myself, it became like a competition to who can sit there the most and who can put enough hours in the mornings to hunt him. And
well, then you hunted a stand half a mile on the other side of the property, and it's big hayfield. It's John Norris hayfield. And
when was that? About 2 weeks after I put that corn out.
Yeah.
It was it was almost towards when the rut was really getting on.
I was in Charleston. You were hunting that night, and I was in Charleston. I'd sat down for dinner to eat.
That's right. I took my fiance,
and you sent a video.
We're sitting there, and this particular stand is actually where the first picture ever of this deer that we got, where he was consistently at during nighttime 2 years ago.
And it's in this big hayfield, and there's like a swamp bed area to our left, and there's on the other side of that is a cutover, and all that had flooded because we just had a lot of rain and hurricane and all that, so it all flooded. And
yeah, we've been sitting there, and you know, it was a relatively warm afternoon, like mid-70s. We've been in the stand maybe 20 minutes, and a couple of does walked up under us from that cutover, like through the little power line that was flooded. They came across the water, came out under the stand, stayed there, ate acorns for a while. By that time, I heard something like over there, like a deer running through water or something. What it sounded like. Well, my fiance was like, "There's a deer right there. There's a deer right there." So I looked through binoculars. Lo and behold, literally not even 70 yards from us, in that drainage area on that power line, is him looking right at us, Casper. And I mean, it's just one of those things. He's one of those lifetime type deer where when you look at him, he just freeze. You're just frozen in awe of how wide and big, how nice of a deer this is. And we tried our best. I was trying to, you know, get her position, but he would not come out of that the thick brush that's on that power line. And he came within about 65 yards, and we couldn't get a shot. And then he finally turned around, walked back down through that creek bottom, and on off to that cutover, and we never saw him again.
And that's the first footage we got of it. I wish I'd have saved that video now, but it was of that deer walking through the woods. I could see the deer, and I could tell how big the deer was. I just couldn't see his head and all that. But so Will told me about it, and the next day the wind was still good. We had I think it's a southeast wind you gotta have. I went back in there the following day, and I got in there 30 minutes sooner than they did. So at about 4:30 or so, maybe 4 o'clock, and I'd been sitting there for maybe 30 minutes, and I heard like rustling the leaves, and I looked in that same clump of woods where that deer had been spotted the day before, and all I could see was this deer's head going up and down, hitting his licking branch, and I could see his feet pulling the leaves from out up under him, so I'm making a scrape. So I got my gun up to look at him. There was no deer there. It was gone. I kept trying to find the deer through my scope, my binoculars, I grunted, all that, nothing. Like he just vanished into thin air. So that's 2 days in a row now, this deer just vanished, gone.
And if you know, those of you that know a lot about deer hunting, done it most of your life, you know that during that time of year, you know, in the rut especially, they'll give you like you gotta take your chances. I'm telling you, because these deer are so old, they're old and smart and they're dominant bucks. They're gonna pop up a day or two, or for about a week straight, kind of off and on consistently, and then that's it. I mean, they literally give you, like, you blink your eye and they're not there anymore. So
we kind of decided we were gonna name
they'll
this
slip
deer.
up. I'll put it that way. They'll slip up like a turkey would, but you better be on your P's and Q's.
Yeah, we decided to name the deer Casper. Obvious reasons. He's like a ghost. I mean, every time we see this deer, we're looking at him, he's gone. So in 3 years, we've laid eyes on this deer 3 times. 3 times. And like I said, we hunted this deer for another month and a half without seeing him. We weren't getting pictures of him anymore. So immediately our heads went to, okay, he's gone or he's dead. That was the only things we could think of. We had 6 cameras out 24/7, no pictures, nothing. So we decided, well, we didn't decide, but we just kind of quit hunting. And about a week ago, we got there to get our cameras up and get them ready for turkey season to put back up, you know, leading up to turkey season, that kind of thing. We're checking SD cards, and pretty much the entire month of December, under my bow stand at 20 yards and our food plots with rifle stands, consistently in daylight, who's there?
The one and only Casper.
And you talking about just devastation, but also joy, because like
He's still alive.
he's alive.
He made it through another season.
He's 120 years old. He's alive, but you know, we could have killed this deer again. Another year's gone by where this deer has puberty whipped our behinds.
And I'll say, you know, while I have a chance, we were talking about checking those cameras. We have Casper, you know, a certain property, but after checking all our cameras on our deer hunting land, it was like a good feeling to see the amount of potential that property had, like, for years to come. Young buck. In fact, right now we have the picture, so we'll show you right here. These are all the good pictures of the good young up and coming. Even these are all, we'll show you all the mature,
including this
bucks.
7-point.
Yes.
I mean, we've had Daniel from last year. He was a 6-point last year, and we thought he was old as he could be. And now you see in this picture, I mean, he's got a mass.
Tank.
Because he's a
Quattro.
He's a tank.
There's several little 8 points that started showing up towards the end of the season. So here's all these pictures right here, where you can look and see all the potential and all the bucks that we have that showed up on camera this deer season.
Yeah, so we kind of keep on with that. We're going to talk about some of the deer that we've got that have gotten away through misses or whatever it may be. The first memory that pops into my head was, I'm going to let Will tell the story. I'm going to tell it so you know what I'm talking about. I wasn't very old. This is one of the first deer hunts I've ever been on, actually. We were hunting this farm, this plantation farm. It's a big hunting plantation in our area. And I don't exactly remember this deer, exactly how big he was, but hearing Will talk about it, I was there, but I don't remember. But hearing Will talk about how big this deer is and that we let it walk is what's crazy to me. But hearing how big this deer was, it eats me alive this day that we didn't get to kill it.
Yeah, that deer right there
Was it an 8 or 9 point?
special. He was a mainframe 8, but he had like a kicker. And when I say the kicker was a kicker, it was like literally that long, kicked off of one of his beams. So he was a 9 point, and that's actually why, I'll tell you, that ended up being the reason why he wasn't a shooter buck for that particular plantation. You know, we had obviously been into hunting for years and whatnot, and I was, at the time, I think I was a 9th grader. And an uncle of ours from here in town where we're from, he's a big bow hunter and likes to hunt and all that. He knew we liked deer hunting and everything, and we're around it, and he had the opportunity to go to this plantation through some of his friends. He'd get to go a handful of times each deer season, and it was actually in early December, so it was late in the season, rut was over. Well, I'll tell you that. Now sometimes I'm starting to question whether or not the rut is over as early as people say it is, because of the fact that all these bucks at our properties are showing up in December like they were. It was like the rut was in full swing in December. But anyways, he asked us to go. The deal was like it was more so like a management hunt, where does could be shot, coal bucks could be shot, stuff like that. The plantation had like several clients that were putting the stands that night, and me and Charlie and my uncle got put in a huge tower stand overlooking. It was like half cornfield, half plowed, like I think it was like a bunch of mixture like clover, ryegrass, all that kind of stuff, oats, and I'll never forget. It's looking down a power line. Down that power line is planted corn. To the left of you was like a big duck pond, and around that whole field was just hardwoods. And on the far end, there's a big hedgerow, like a big mound hill that goes all the way down the side of the field. And throughout that hunt, we had saw, that field was, does pouring in it, does pouring in it. My uncle kept saying, let's wait. We might get a huge coal buck or something like that. Like, I'm pretty sure the deal was like you could also shoot like 10 points, but they were very basket rack type, just bucks that really didn't have much potential. They had pretty much done what they had done, but they kind of knew who not to shoot. But that's how big this place was, how many bucks there were. And towards the end of the hunt, I shot a bunch of does, some young bucks. I'll never forget my uncle looking through his binoculars and saying, "Oh my gosh, there is one of the biggest deer I've ever seen before." And of course, you get all antsy, younger guy. "Oh, I want to see. Well, I looked at binoculars, and I have, until this day, have never seen a long-eyes deer this big. He was a natural mainframe 8-point that had the mass, like a freaking moose. If you can see his brow tines are probably that big around, which around here is enormous. A lot of mass.
What do you think he scored?
He's over 150. And for around here, I'm telling you, that's crazy. And he had that huge kicker, like I said, like that long, stuck out straight to the side on one of his main beams or whatnot. But and I'll never forget, like I kept wondering, like, why are we not pulling the trigger on this deer? Because he came up over that mountain, he just stood up on top of that mountain looking, neck all swollen up and everything. And
that deer wasn't probably about 3 years old too.
Yeah, he was young.
Whoever killed that deer, because I'm sure he ended up dying the next year.
He was hung on the plantation.
Yeah, he was a big
inside the cabin or whatnot out there. But,
I wish I could remember exactly what that deer looked like. I remember going and I remember seeing the deer, but I don't remember in my head what that deer looked like.
He looked like we were hunting in the middle of Kansas somewhere. Seriously, he stepped out into the edge of the field and fed for a little while, and it was so hard because we just had to sit there and watch him. And my uncle the whole time was just in so much amazement at how big the deer was. He's done a lot of hunting, but he swore it out as big as deer he'd ever seen in his life. And to have to sit there and know you can't take that deer because the owner doesn't, like, that was saved for like very high-end clients, and maybe give him a couple more years because they knew who he was and followed him through the trail camp, like knew he had even more potential.
See, that time we didn't know what it meant to pass a deer, like letting.
Yeah,
but that deer would have been hard to pass regardless.
It was hard. It was so hard. To sit there and watch that, and I questioned my uncle the whole night after we got out of stand. We rode around with actually one of the, I guess you'd say, like one of the workers out there that my uncle knew. We rode around, and some other guys, they both, a couple guys killed like some small, like, not basset rat, but buried inside the ear, like type 10 points that were just really old and kind of beat down, and smaller bodies, several coal bucks and all that. So while we're walking around, riding around all night looking for deer for them and trailing deer, and I'm thinking, man, we could have had the biggest deer probably ever killed on this property in the back of the truck that we're getting to take pictures with. But it is what it is. It was a great experience nevertheless.
Yeah, well, we'll kind of talk a little bit about our duck season and what it's been like. Yeah, it's been pretty.
Which I haven't done it much. The older I've gotten, the more I've gotten kind of out of. I'm not gonna say I'm out of duck hunting, but I don't do it like I used to. I'll say that.
Well, I mean, duck hunting's a hard thing to gauge because you're looking at it through migration and trying to figure out, okay, do we have ducks? Do we not have ducks? Listen to what other people are saying, and we've had ducks. I mean, it's not like we haven't had ducks. Have we had a lot of ducks? No, we haven't had a lot.
We don't
of ducks.
live on the Mississippi River.
Yeah. We haven't had a good duck number in about 10 years. I mean, I can confidently say that. I haven't killed. I haven't seen as many ducks in the past 5 years as we did in the past 5 years, and that's kind of an ongoing thing. And you know, we have to kind of work together with people to make that better. But on opening day, we hunted on a local river here, and we killed a few wood ducks, and then we hunted a public piece, another piece of public, walk-in public, and we killed about 8 ringnecks or so. My gun during this hunt actually decided to not explode, but half my gun went into the water, so there went my gun. Now, while it is a junky gun and a gun that I don't like, that was unfortunate because I only got to shoot for about 30 minutes worth of shooting time. But and then we had the best duck hunt of our season at this point on the river again. We killed 6 wood ducks and a teal. And after I made the boneheaded decision to jackknife the trailer and
my boat
and Pure T just mangled it up, and it's currently being fixed. But not a good way to finish a good day, I'd say. But I don't know. Duck hunting's been a letdown. It's been a letdown now for a few years. It's been hard to hunt ducks around here, but it is what it is. And
well, did you have any pictures from this duck season?
no, not really. No.
Okay, so you can show them right now.
No, I've gotten where the older I've got, I don't take pictures of the ducks we kill because, you know, I'm on TikTok a lot. And I see people on there, you know, posting all these ducks and wearing $20 million worth of Sitka camouflage and on with a, you know, $40,000 Havoc and, you know, all that. So I've gotten where I don't even take pictures anymore. I go duck hunting not to kill ducks, but just to have memories and remember that time where, you know, Will fell in the water, or whenever, you know, Evan dropped his gun, or whatever it may be. That's my favorite part about duck hunting, just the memories that come along with it.
Yeah, it's special to make those memories, and those early up before anybody, freezing cold mornings where you kind of question, like, you know, I'm duck hunting in South Carolina, why in the world am I doing this right now? But like he said, it's about you're gonna see ducks, you're gonna kill some, but it's about the memories and the process, you know, going into it and whatnot. And obviously it's not the turkey hunting process, but it's still a fun thing to do. But the older that I've gotten, the more I've kind of shied away, because duck hunting also it's a very expensive hobby. It is known to be a very expensive hobby. All the gear
and around here it isn't really worth that, to be honest.
Nah, it's definitely not. But we're gonna keep doing it. I mean, it's
something we got into and we can't really step away from for good. I do have kind of a crazy story, I guess, say about duck hunting. I was hunting a roost pond. This was back during November, the first split of duck season, and I was hunting this roost pond. So of course it's late in the afternoon, almost dark at night. I'm watching ducks fly around, and I noticed like ripples in the water coming towards me. Because I'm like, when I say this place is tight, I mean you can barely see 5 foot in front of you. It's tight. I mean, it's hard to see anything. I see these ripples coming towards me. I thought it was a duck because it was that dark. I thought maybe a duck on the water swimming towards me or something, and I couldn't tell. Well, about that time they went away, and when I tell you from me to Will, I saw a beaver's head pop up out of the water. He thought it gave me a heart attack. My first initial reaction was I screamed, "Oh my God," or something like that. And I think the beaver was just as scared as I was, because I ain't seen that beaver since. But I can tell you, it scared me to death. I ain't never been that close to no beaver before. And I've heard beavers are mean. We got a whole story during turkey season about a otter that we'll talk about in our Speaking Spring episodes, because
Tasmanian
I
devil.
ain't never seen anything like that in my life. Rabies or something, but well, like I said, unfortunately, we don't have as much to talk about when it comes to ducks and deer as we do turkey.
This year's just been hectic, man. There's been
Yeah.
a lot going on. It's just been hard to. Obviously, you know, if you follow the channel enough and these podcasts, it's not hard to tell that we pour everything we have when it comes to the outdoors and hunting this channel in the springtime. If you follow along, you know that's our number one passion.
We were putting out 2 videos a week like it was nothing, and I want to get back to doing 2 or 3, maybe 4 videos a week if we can. I mean, we're really wanting to make this thing work. We enjoy this. I mean, it does take a lot of time and it is time consuming and it is very tedious and all that, but we love doing this. Like, we love sitting down and talking, and we love editing and that kind of thing. I mean, it's something we really enjoy doing. And we're not doing it for money. We're not doing it for anything other than pure enjoyment at the moment. So we're gonna keep on doing it.
Amen.
But that's gonna do it for today's episode. And,
This will wrap up our first attempt at the Feathers and Fall Series 1.
now it's time to get making the ones we really like to make. Speaking Spring. So we'll catch y'all on the next one.